What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 52 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the coolest dudes in video games. On my other side, and it's kind of weird, Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller.
It's good to be here with you today.
Now today, it's January 5th, 2016. It's our 1 year anniversary of doing this full time, doing that whole thing.
We're doing the escape.
Yeah, it is the escape. We're going to do our Game of the Year discussion. It's going to be exciting. We haven't really talked about what that means. Or
no,
what
I have no idea what this show is going to be or how it's going to go.
But what you guys do know is what the first three topics of this show are. And that is each of our top 10 favorite games of 2015.
Gotcha.
We're not talking best games. We're not talking,
These
games,
are our favorite games.
These
of
are
the year.
our favorite games of 2015.
Sure, okay.
So we're going to do all that. Colin had the brilliant idea. I didn't tell you about this yet, Greg, but it's going to be easy for you. We're going to do them in alphabetical order.
That's going to be easy for me, all right?
Well, I mean, it's, one of the first things you learn ever.
But I have to go through the alphabet every time. I got to go through the alphabet every time I do it.
Well, this is why you write them down like this.
Yeah, but I put them on the internet and on the iPad.
I'm sorry. Well, you'll have time to do it. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about our favorite games in alphabetical order because we don't want to, get people on the scent for the Game of the Year discussion, which is the final topic. Now, during that topic, we'll talk about what that even means for Kind of Funny.
Okay. And
how we're going to do. Are we going to have one game? Or are we each going to just choose one?
We have to figure that out. We've never figured that out.
We'll figure it out. That's going to be a fun old time. For those of you that don't know, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. It's a show where every week we talk about all the cool things happening in video games or just whatever we really want to talk about in relation to video games. Now, today is a little bit different because while we were recording this, we are also live streaming over on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Kind of Funny Games, to all the big, beautiful kids out there in support of Kind of Funny, the animated series. If you haven't seen that, go to youtube.com/Kind of Funny, watch that video. Then go to patreon.com/Kind of Funny, support to make more of those shows happen. It's going to be good for all of you. Now, if you want to support this show, you go to patreon.com/Kind of Funny Games. That's a whole other thing, but it's good there too. If you don't want to do that, youtube.com/Kind of Funny Games. How many URLs can I say before it just gets excessive?
You could say, you could just go to the brand new kindoffunny.com.
That is very true.
All of it's there for you.
Yes, kindoffunny.com is new and improved and it is amazing. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff there. And as of right now, should be working perfectly.
Right.
That's what I hear.
I got to go be in the chat room on the front page of it.
Oh, yeah, there's a new chat. So you can log in with your forum account, username, and then just chat away.
Yeah.
It's like Twitch, but on our own website.
Exactly.
But better because it's ours. Yes. All right. I'm going to start this one off. Obviously, I'm the most Tim out of the three of us.
You are the most Tim out of us. I've always said that about you.
When it comes to these video games. So it's like, I feel like my list is going to be a little bit the most different out of all of this. Maybe Colin's is going to have a bit more of the obscure, randomy things going on because you are one, Colin Moriarty. Sure. You are
He's the most Colin of among.
That is true. That is true.
No one.
I'm coming for you though, Greg.
To be the most Greg?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see. But I'm going to start this off, and I'm going to start this off right. About a week ago, a little game came out called Amplitude.
Ooh.
There is no better A game than Amplitude. I want to tell you guys all about my favorite game of all time.
Now, we're counting when it came out for Kickstarters, presumably, because it did come out today.
That's the thing. My list, my rules.
Yeah,
sure. I'm making shit up. I played the hell out of this game in 2015.
Yeah, sure.
And that was my whole break, was playing
for
this game. So the original came out in 2002. I've talked about it many times on the show as being one of those random games that I really latched on to and loved. And I played the living hell out of that growing up and just like getting better and better and better at it. And I played through every difficulty and I actually wanted to get better scores just for myself. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where it's like, it meant something to me to beat each song on insane difficulty and whatever. So I would play through that. And then I remember once Guitar Hero started and once then Rock Band and all of this stuff, I was really into those games. Love all of them. I'm a big fan of rhythm games in general. But none of them were Amplitude. And I was always like, man, like I wish that we can get that again. Sure. Then we got Rock Band Unplugged on the PlayStation Portable.
Yeah, it was amazing and awesome. They should have just made that again.
Yeah, and I was really, 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 really happy with it because I was like, all right, this is essentially Amplitude, but Rock Bandified. I'll take it. Like, that's the closest we're ever going to get. Then we got a game called Rock Band Blitz that was a downloadable title for the PS3 and Xbox 360. And it was Rock Band Unplugged, but on consoles, but even more.
But not nearly as good as Rock Band
and
Unplugged.
really, really, really dumbed down. So the problem there was that it would take any songs you had in any of the rock bands and just kind of like based on how it sounds, assign beat matching and stuff. So it was kind of just like it felt like a fan made game overall. And I didn't play it for more than like 2 hours total, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden they announced this Kickstarter and I'm like, oh my God, like we're actually going to get another Amplitude game. Now, I'd played Frequency 2, big Frequency fan. I prefer Amplitude over it. But then we heard that this game's going to have the Frequency Tunnel as well. And I'm like, man, okay, they're really kind of giving the people what they want with this thing. Let me see if I get my hands on it. I played it a bit at events and stuff. And I loved it at every event I played it at. And I was like, oh crap, they nailed this. It's Amplitude. And what does that mean? To me, that means it's the most perfect music, like rhythm game, because it is literally about making the music as you go. Guitar Hero and Rock Band, they're a bit more about like, if you hit the notes, it kind of feels like you're playing it, but really it's just more like, yeah, we're just having you hit things when it sounds like the music's playing. Whereas with Amplitude, like you're literally playing each instrument, and if you don't do them, that track just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it compared to any other rhythm game I've ever played, it's way more exact, and it's way more like you use the shoulder buttons and stuff, and it's not just like things like DDR where there's the beat. There's every like the fourth notes, eighth notes, 30 seconds, 16, whatever. That's it. With Amplitude, that's all out the window. It's down to the millisecond of when the actual thing's happening, because a lot of it's like drum and bass tracks and stuff like that. So it's all over the place. Like, I don't know the drum verbiage and stuff.
The nomenclature is
exactly.
The hi-hat, snare.
There's definitely hi-hats and snares.
Kick drum.
Kick drum. Yeah.
Give me 4/8 of a kick drum right now.
4/8 of a kick.
What's that mean, Colin?
4/8 of a kick drum. I've never heard that particular term.
You didn't grow up in the streets of Glen Ellen like I did.
No, I certainly didn't.
Anyways, so I've been playing this game now. A big thing about the original Amplitude was, so Frequency had a lot of this like music no one's ever heard of. Some like drum and bass stuff that I guess is popular to people that know that music,
EDM.
but to people that didn't know electronic music, it's like new, right?
Sure.
Then Amplitude came out and it had Blink 182 and it had POD and it had Slipknot and it had No Doubt and all these like random things. Not No Doubt, garbage. Wow. And
Shirley Manson.
It
used to love her.
It kind of introduced me to a whole bunch of music and stuff, which is my favorite thing about music games. But that's kind of why I loved it, was it had this eclectic range of different styles and different genres and stuff. I'm kind of treating this as my Amplitude review, because we didn't get a chance to.
This is like,
the
game we haven't talked about.
Exactly. And it means so much to me that I'm like, I got to give this game its praise. So then this game came out, and we knew early on, because of the Kickstarter and stuff, that there wasn't going to be licensed music. All the music was going to be either, from Kickstarters themselves, or made by Harmonix, or from their friends and stuff like that. Just like, or from other games.
Yeah.
Just like
Transistors in there, a couple other games.
Transistor by 311.
No, Transistor the game by Supergiant.
One of the
Games.
best albums of all time.
And I started playing it, and instantly it's like, all right, this is Amplitude. It's the beat matching to that exact moment. And you start playing it and you start remembering the rhythm and shit. And it does that thing music games do, where you just get in the zone. But Amplitude does it differently. Where, Guitar Hero, you start going, and it's just like, whoa, I can't believe I got through that. Because Amplitude is set, so it's track by track. You make the music for this instrument happen, then move on. But there's a split second to move tracks over. So it's like, you need to be like kind of multi-managing everything at once. You just get lost in it, and you just get that tunnel vision and just in the zone of what you're doing. And it's unlike any game I've ever played. Like, I'm just like, I just get entranced by it. And especially you put on headphones and just go. Yeah. You always talk about this idea of VR, just getting lost in something. I would love to just sit with Amplitude and just go. And you start playing through the songs, and it's all like the single player is the campaign. It's a 15-song concept record, which is kind of cool. It's a cool idea. It's like this woman's in a coma, and it's like they're trying to like get her out of it, and it's like what's in her head, and like she hears all these people talking to her and stuff around her as she's in the coma.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, she wakes up at the end.
Oh my God.
If you win. If you don't win, she doesn't win.
Does she have like use of her arms and legs and stuff?
No,
have they atrophied? How long has she been in the coma? Did doctors think she'd get out of the coma?
They didn't, no.
Does she have like full range of motion? Can she cognitive abilities where they should be?
You go through a cognitive sector. That's about as close to the information I can give you.
I don't know if that checks out medically.
Yeah. Anyways, it was really cool, and I remember playing the songs for the first time, being like, all right, whatever. Like, these songs aren't memorable to me. and then they get stuck in my head, and now they're still stuck in my head. I can't tell them apart, but I'm like, oh, every time I'm thinking of it, a different song is stuck in my head. So I'm like, all right, they did something right. Like, these are catchy and memorable for what they are. Biggest flaw of the game is the fact that all the songs sound the same. Like, it is all, there's not that, the beauty of Amplitude was one song is Slipknot and one is garbage and one is a rap song and one is whatever. Like, Run DMC was in it. Like, it's just, it was so eclectic. This is not eclectic at all. This is so the same thing, just drum and bass, electronic music, which is great. But I think that's a turnoff to a lot of people.
You stole the words. I was gonna say, which is a turnoff for me. I mean, I'm not. I know this is your game. We're not like debating.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it was like, I did the Let's Play with you where you were playing on like the extreme and crazy difficulty, and I was like, I don't even want to try this. And then I talked to some other people. I'm like, all right. And I came home and I played it on a normal difficulty, and I was like, oh yeah. And it kept reminding me of Rock Band Unplugged, which I loved and was great at. But then it was just like, I don't know any of these songs though, and this just isn't like. I'm not motivated to keep going. Gameplay's, solid. I get it. Don't get me wrong. But for me, the hook wasn't there.
Yeah. And I guess I'm coming in at it with the fact that the hook was already there for me and the fact that I liked those songs. So coming into this, it's like, I just want that gameplay. Like by the end of Amplitude, where I'm just trying to like boost my like stars and all that stuff or bars or whatever it is, I didn't care what song I was playing. I just wanted to do better at it.
Sure.
And that's kind of already where I'm at. And I love the leaderboard system. Like it's one of the first times it is probably the first time I ever cared. And I fucking like just climbed that shit. Like even right now, I'm like top 5% in the world.
Nice.
Like, yeah, come at me.
What are you gonna do?
Andrea Renee.
Tim Gettys.
She's talking shit. Come on. Does she know who I am?
You talk shit, Andrea Renee.
No, we should play some Amplitude though. It's a great game. But anyway, there's one song from Skullgirls, and it's the only song it's like a jazzy song, and I'm like, it's a different genre, and it's awesome because I'm like, oh wow, this is what I remember from Amplitude of like the variety and shit. And I'm hoping that we get some DLC, and I think we will, and I think it's gonna be really good. But I'm gonna be playing that game for a long time. Like I want to platinum it. I want to platinum it very bad. First game.
Your first platinum of all time.
It would be. The problem is, it was one of those things where I'm like, I started playing, I'm like, I want to platinum this. Then I saw the trophy list. I'm like, I could never platinum this. That list is so hard. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try though. And so now I'm kind of in that thing of like, some of the challenges seem a little out of reach. And the game is kind of designed to like push you back. Like the campaign system gets a little wonky. Like you can't replay a specific song. You have to replay the whole damn career. So if I fuck up one song,
yeah, that's it.
But the whole career is 45 minutes, so it's not like it's that big of a deal. But
after a few fuck ups,
towards the end, when one of the trophies is like beat the entire career on expert without dying or retrying or stopping, and so in one sitting. And I'm like, well, I can't really beat the last songs in one sitting, so.
But
that's
if
my
you
biggest issue
practice
with it.
over and over and over and over again,
so we'll see. I'm
give
hoping,
up this
I'm hoping
dream of YouTube stardom and just focus on that.
I will be the Amplitude master.
There you go.
But anyway, Amplitude. If you haven't checked it out, please do, because I do think that you're our only hope of getting DLC. Next up, Emily is Away.
Ah, yes.
We did a Let's Play of this. Did you play this at all, or did you see the Let's Play? Do you know?
No, I know what it's about, but I have not played it yet. Sounds very nostalgic.
For those of you that don't know,
you'd love it.
Emily is Away is a Steam game, and it's the story of a high school kid graduating to go to college as he is using AOL Instant Messenger to talk to a girl. Just a girl. Yeah, it's not his girlfriend. But then it's kind of the story over 4 years of their AIM conversations. And it's kind of a choose your own adventure type thing, but it's not direct. Like you have 3 options, but you're not really sure where they're going to lead you and stuff. And it's a short game, 50 minutes. I don't want to spoil it for you.
And that was with you and I fucking around,
making jokes,
stuff.
doing a Let's Play, whatever. So like real talk, probably 35 to 40 minutes to get through the whole thing. But there's multiple branching stories. I've seen so many people tweet me, be like, oh, dude, I got this. And I'm like, whoa, really? That sounds cool. One of the greatest ends to a video game I've ever experienced.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it hit me.
Oh, yeah. No, you and I were devastated.
Like, it got us.
It took out our legs for sure.
So bad. Like,
that
the
was
way that it happens is just like, oh,
that Let's Play, remember, we finished it and we're like, let's try again. Let's go back and make this choice and do that and da-da-da. We jumped right back into it.
And the reason I think it's so good is that it is so relatable. Like that story and the doing it brings you back. It instantly brings you back. Seeing the buddy icons, hearing the noises, doing all that. You're just like engrossed in it. And it's disturbing because it's like all the things you fucked up 10 years ago, playing it again and having a character fuck it up in the same way. And like, I'm like, oh man, this is like, it's too real. Shit's too real.
Too real, I understand.
But again, emotions is one of the reasons you play video games. You know, like having having it affect you and stuff. And I think Emily is Away is probably the most emotional experience I've had with a video game this year.
Interesting.
Next up, this one came very, very, very late in the year to me. This
later than Amplitude.
Yeah.
Really?
No, this winter break for me was like I killed it.
Okay.
Killed it. So I was working on this stream that's happening right now, and I needed a break. So I'm like, I'll play a little bit Amplitude. I'm gonna play a bunch of other stuff on my list right here. But this random game someone tweeted at me called Freedom Planet.
Oh yes, you were talking about.
Do you know about this game, Colin?
No.
All right. No. So Freedom Planet, it came out on Steam last year. They announced Freedom Planet 2, so it's an established thing. Freedom Planet came out on Wii U in late October, I think, on the eShop. I just downloaded it, started playing it based on one tweet from one of the best friends out there. And he was like, Tim, if you love Shovel Knight, you need to play Freedom Planet.
Interesting.
It is to Sega what Shovel Knight is to Nintendo. And I was like, don't know what that means exactly, but my gut tells me it's reminiscent of Genesis side scrollers like Sonic's and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I loved those games, so I want to check this out. Looked at a YouTube video, and I'm like, oh man, this is another one that I'm hoping there's people out there that haven't really got into this yet and are checking it out, because I think a lot of people are going to be really impressed. Like, whoa, this is exactly what I'd want it to be. Because I remember when you first saw Shovel Knight, what was your reactions to that?
It was incredible. I mean, I revealed that game. I saw before anyone knew about it, and I was. It scratched very specific itches in me. I knew that game was gonna be huge. I fucking knew it from this. That's why I took the exclusive in the first place and wanted to talk to those guys, because I knew that game was gonna be massive for people like me. Mm-hmm. So it reminded me of the old days of when gameplay was king.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of. Yeah.
So this, similarly, it reminds me of Sonic, which means it's not perfect. Like, that's the thing. It has all of the kind of quirks and stuff that Sega games did, but it sounds like a Sega Genesis game sounds. Modernized, in the same way that you hear Shovel Knight, and it's like, NES games weren't really doing that, but it's like, it sounds like you remember them. And I'm like, whoa, this is great. There's multiple characters. It's just kind of like Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. They each have their own different power-ups and stuff. I started playing through, and it's like, there's this ridiculous storyline that, like, there's animals being taken over by robots and stuff. I'm like, all right, it's Sonic. But what they even nailed even further is they made a game that is reminiscent of my memories of Sonic the Hedgehog growing up, which are the Genesis games and the Saturday morning cartoons. So somehow they melded that together, and there's like an actual plot and storyline with voice acting, like overdone voice acting, and it's perfect because it's so reminiscent of a Saturday morning cartoon. And so it's like they nailed, in the way that Shovel Knight nailed that kind of Nintendo thing where it's like, it's not quite Mega Man, it's not quite Mario, it's not quite Zelda, it's not quite Castlevania, whatever. It's all those little bits and pieces here and there. They nailed that for this, where it's Sonic gameplay at its core, but it sounds like every Genesis game. And the characters play like other Genesis games you remember and stuff like that. And I'm like, and
Comic
plus,
Zone?
like, but it's in that style. It's like it does have that look of just like Genesis just looked different than Super Nintendo.
Blast processing, son.
It had that blast processing, and it's all over this. And there's no other game besides Sonic that you see these characters moving and then all of a sudden going into 3D space and going up a half pipe and like running on walls and stuff. And it's like, to be able to do that again in a game that feels solid and is actually like quality, I was like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So Freedom Planet definitely surprised me and came out of nowhere.
What is it on again?
Wii U.
Okay, Wii U.
Yeah, the Wii U eShop and Steam.
Gotcha.
$15, and it's super awesome. Next up, no surprise at all, Mario Maker. Man, I love that game. That's a game I'll be playing for years.
How often do you check in on it? How often
I check in on it. It's it's a break game for me. It's like I'm working and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna play a couple levels. The thing that keeps me coming back is how involved the community gets with it, and how involved my community specifically seems to be into it. So the people I follow on Twitter, so when you see the Patrick Klepeks and like Dan Reicher,
everything
and stuff,
him and Dan did with Mario Maker this year was amazing.
It's incredible, and you see that stuff and it's inspiring of just like, wow, this game's really kind of capable of a lot. But then I started following Patrick's like just Kotaku articles where he talks about, there's these cool levels to check out. There's these cool levels. And I read about it. I'm like, oh man, I need to get into that. I want to play that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I'll see other people, like just random friends of ours, like being like, oh man, I just made a level. And I'm like, I want to check it out just to see.
Yeah. Boogie, Giant Bomb, all of them. Yeah.
Then I jump in. I'm like, all right, cool. And so it's an in and out type thing. Yeah. All right. But
All right.
I find myself checking in way more often than I thought I would. Still not making levels. That's not my thing. But I think that's kind of the beauty of this game, is the fact that there's people out there that enjoy making the levels so much. And there's people out there that hate that, just want to play. And it appeals to both of them equally, I would say. And I love that Nintendo is supporting it and sees it as a platform. And the fact that we've gotten already like 3 DLC updates, like free, just updates of just like, here's new content
and fast, right? They added checkpoints like within like a month and a half.
Yeah,
a month?
And that's cool. It's like, it's a different Nintendo than we're used to seeing, where it's like, oh, hey, you guys want something? Here it is, you know?
Yeah.
And then they keep adding more of the amiibo costumes or whatever. You don't even need the amiibo. It's just like costumes in the game. And there's all the like celebrity event matches or whatever, where they'll do events where every week or whatever they add courses made by specific people or Nintendo made levels and all this stuff. And they have the website, so it's easier to find levels and then download to your Wii U later. I think Mario Maker is going to be around for a long time.
Oh,
and
yeah, totally.
I think that it's on my list because I have so much fun with that game. It's Mario. Mm-hmm. You don't get better than Mario. So it's like, I don't understand how that game could not be on someone's top 10 list. Metal Gear Solid 5. Again, we're going alphabetical here. People can say what they want about it not being enough Metal Gear, or about the story not being good, or the gameplay being repetitive, or this or that. It's excuses as far as I'm concerned. The game is awesome. Whatever it is awesome. Who cares if it's not this or not that or whatever? And I get that going into it, your expectations are that it is this or that.
Sure.
But what you get is amazing. Like, the game is, there's no game that hooked me like that. And can't even remember a game that hooked me like that in the recent years. Like, you get in and it's that cycle that we talk about so much, where it's just like, the gameplay loop is so good, and the way that they teach you and the way that they reward you, I'm like, oh my God, it's so awesome. And it's a beautiful game. It's a fun game to watch. I think that's another thing that's key, is it's like, even a couple weeks ago, I saw someone was streaming, and I'm like, oh, I'll just check into this for a second. And it's like, it's cool he's just walking, all of a sudden a sandstorm happens, and it's just like, man, this is a beautiful game. And like, the motions are so fluid, the animations are awesome, and this is just character. You know, it might not be the Metal Gear character that you're used to, but I think this game has a very specific feel to it that I don't think we'll ever see again. Like, I think that the style of this game is going to die. And that was a one-off experience. And I'm happy that it happened in 2015. Or in the Blind Forest. Another game. Beat this motherfucker over the winter break. It was good.
But you had played it long ago with the Xbox preview, and I remember.
Oh, I mean, I played it, and then, I was like, I love this game. Yeah. I played a little bit more. I've been playing little by little, but like, I finally like played through and beat it. And it's just like, man, most beautiful game that I played this year for sure. Like, that art style, that's amazing. And again, it's one of those, it's an easy hit. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, cute, lovable characters. And like, when they look like that and the story is meant to make you feel a certain way, they nailed it. I guess that's the best way to put it, is like, they really kind of nailed what they were trying to do. It's like a Pixar movie, you know? They're trying to hit you in the feels, and they hit you in the feels. In terms of gameplay, I like that it's a Metroidvania game, but it isn't so down your throat of like, this is a Metroid clone. Like, the way that the controls are, where everything's kind of more like a slingshot than you're actually controlling the character. I thought it separated it enough to make it unique and different than something like Shadow Complex, which is a little bit more like, this is a Metroid.
Right, this is a Metroid. This is exactly, you know what you're getting into. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. This is more like, all right, this is a take on that. And I think that was really cool. Then I got a couple honorable mentions on this list.
Oh, you do honorable mentions. All right.
And I'm giving it to them because some of these games didn't necessarily come out in 2015. That's when I played them. Shovel Knight being one of them. Now, it did come out on the Vita, PlayStation systems, and Xbox One this year, so it does count. But Shovel Knight, oh man. I think that if I had to choose a game that's game of the year, I'd give it to that had it not come out before.
Sure.
Because it's a Tim Gettys game through and through.
That was Colin's game of the year last year.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I mean, it's so Nintendo. You know what I mean? It's Nintendo without being Nintendo, and that's great. They nailed it, and that game is amazing. And I just want more. I want a sequel, and I want more levels, and I just want everything. You know,
you'll get one. I just hope that I know those guys personally, and they're super smart and super talented, and I think that their inclination originally was to do it differently, and I hope that they are smart enough to not do it differently. I know that they want to do a 16-bit game and a 64-bit game or whatever, and like get like kind of go through those motions. I think that was their original plan, but they need to make another Shovel Knight with the exact aesthetic that they made the original one in. And I think that they can do that more easily than they made the first one. I know it was very intensive. Those graphics are hard to make. I know a lot of people think they're not. They're in many ways way harder to make than some of these character models you see in a lot of games because it's just more intensive. That's why Iga's new game uses 2.5D, for instance, instead of pixel art, because it's hard to find artists that can do that kind of stuff. Like Wozniak over there that does the graphics. So, yeah, you'll get a sequel. I hope that when it's announced that they stay where they are.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I hope it's the 16-bit thing. Like, that sounds amazing. Having said that, I want a sequel in the same style just as bad, you know? Like, I would want one more sequel and then the 16-bit thing. I don't want to not get the 16-bit thing.
Well, I think, I mean, you're going to get that. I mean, Shovel Knight's an IP that's going to be established, and those guys made a fucking asinine amount of money, and good for them. Especially based on the Kickstarter money that they made, which was not very much. They just needed to finish it, basically. And these guys have good bona fides. I implore you to think about it differently in the sense that, like, we didn't get Mario 3 until we had Mario 1 and Mario 2 Japanese. And we didn't get Mega Man 2 or 3 until we had Mega Man 1. And we didn't get Castlevania 3, which is considered the best of the classic series by most people, until we got 1 and 2. And we didn't get Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3 until we got the original one. Like, it takes time to iterate. If we think Shovel Knight's good.
No. And
that's like my whole thing, because Shovel Knight's a great, fucking really good first game. And I can only imagine what they can do with a second and a third one. You know? In terms of refining gameplay and adding little elements and adding more quirks and stuff like that, and removing things like they did with the original Mega Man, for instance. There are things in the original Mega Man like points and a lot of like weird glitches that they just totally threw the kibosh on with the second and third one. Shovel Knight is almost as good as it gets. So it would be fun for them to just go back and do it again. But I think that they're real artists. I don't know that they want to.
Yeah.
But I haven't talked to them in a while, so who knows?
So we'll see. Moving on from that, Star Wars Battlefront, another game that I find myself going back to a lot. And again, these are favorite games, not best games. And a lot of people hate on it and are like, oh, it's empty and whatever. Exactly what I need for just Star Wars fun.
Right.
Again, another beautiful game, another game that I come home all the time and my roommate's just playing. And I'll sit there for a bit, just watch it because it's cool, and then we'll just like tag team playing online matches. Not in a sexual way, Greg.
Well, you said we just tag team and you left the pregnant pause, and I looked over and it wasn't what we thought we were going with.
But yeah, it's cool because she'll just do a match and then I'll do a match, and I like that it's just kind of quick and you just get it in, and you just learn the weapons. And the leveling up system is fun, and we've said this before, but it's a really nice casual way in to what an online shooter is these days for someone that doesn't know that. Like I don't know that ecosystem at all, and none of that the matchmaking and the. That shouldn't make any sense to me, like perks and all that. So
I've been playing my cards close to my vest here, but like Battlefront not on my list, but I'm with you with everything you're saying. And the fact that for me it is that game that if we weren't here right now doing this stream at night for this live stream or whatever, right? Kevin could easily ring me up at any time and say, "Do you want to play that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll jump on for 30 minutes, whatever it's going to be." Whereas like the other night, I was getting ready to play. I wanted to play something I wasn't sure, and I saw it, and I was like, I don't know. Let's see what else is here. And I went to Destiny. I was like, oh no. I don't have enough time to get into Destiny, and I haven't played in so long, and where did I leave off, and This isn't that, right? This is jump in and like, what level am I? Let's go kill stuff.
Yeah, and even more than that, like I said this before in the Gamescast, like there's like a bunch of single player, just random missions that are just kind of like tutorials for the game. But I mean, it's pretty much best of Star Wars. It's just like, hey, you want to, the speeder bike thing? Yeah, you could do that. You want, you can do all that. Like fly an X-wing through a canyon, sure. And I'm like, great. These are small little doses, like 5-10 minute missions, but it's like I had fun with them.
Yeah,
and this game's the biggest tease. That's the issue with it. It's my tease of 2015.
Ooh.
Where I'm like, I can't wait for a single player Star Wars game. But this was surprising to me that I enjoyed it as much as I did because I don't like multiplayer games.
Yeah, me too.
But I like this. The maps are cool. They don't seem super balanced or whatever, but I'm not a pro player. I don't care. They're fun.
Yeah.
Transformers Devastation. Biggest surprise of 2015. That game was good. What? Who the fuck saw that coming? I wish I could put Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 on this list, but I can't because the game was a pile of shit. Everyone expected it to be a pile of shit, and then it was a pile of shit. Okay?
Yeah, it just caught me off guard. Then yeah.
But Transformers, it's like you look at it and it's like this is too good to be true. That actually looks good, and you're like, all right, it's platinum, and they're at this point just putting out so many games. A lot of them really high quality, great games. But then, they had Korra, and that was like the start of like, all right, are they doing?
Trust them?
Is there a different division of whatever making games that are subpar?
What does a license mean?
Exactly. And it's like, all right, Transformers Devastation, a game based on the Generation 1 cartoon. Like, how good could this be? Yeah, they're going to get the original voice actors and, use all that stuff. But at this point, Transformers has been doing that for you. Like, even the Transformers movies, the one thing they got right is doing that.
The voices, yeah.
But then you play the game, I'm like, oh my God, this is playing the 80s cartoon. And it is just homage after homage of references to specific episodes. And the overarching story might as well have been one of those 3-part episodes where it's just like, all right, Megatron's doing evil things, go find him. And the game just keeps getting more and more epic in a way that I'm like, again, this is what I remember Transformers being like instead of what it was. Because any battle you've ever seen in Transformers, that was not cool. None of them. Transformers the movie, I'll give it to that. But none of the show was like ever cool. It's a bunch of motherfuckers shooting and not hitting each other and talking in really awkward
Who cares about
language.
talking?
And this game did what I wanted from Transformers, which is you take 2 toys and you bang them together and see what happens. And Platinum made that into a video game. And it just keeps progressing and progressing and progressing. All the different characters are fun to use. Were they different enough? No. Did I care? No. I'm using Sideswipe. Now I'm using Bumblebee. Cool. I am sold. And the end of the game is amazing. It's one of those just like, all right, this is Tim Gettys' dream shit. So thank you, Transformers Devastation and Platinum Games, for not fucking that up. Earlier I was saying Shovel Knight, one of my ones that I want to give a shout out to because
honorable mention.
Honorable mention. So I'm combining one spot into 2 games, Shovel Knight and Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection. Hadn't played Uncharted 2 and 3. Going in, oh lordy lord, fucking amazing games. 2's better than 3.
Nope.
It is.
No.
But man, those games are good. Those games are so good.
Yeah.
So excited for 4. I'm so happy they did the HD collection. I'm so happy they did it the way they did. It looks beautiful. Playing those games, who would know that they're not modern games now? Like, they're just fucking awesome. They definitely hold up. And even playing a little of 1 again, because my friend had never played, again, my roommate, and he was playing Drake's Fortune, and I just watched it. I'm like, man, even that's a fucking good ass game.
Yeah.
That was a long ass time ago. So anyways, you already know about Uncharted, so it's great. And then Until Dawn. The other thing, Colin was right. I'll give that the Colin was right award. I'll never forget you being like, Tim, you need to play this game. I'm like, I believe you. And then eventually we did. Me and Nick sat and we played we did that Let's Play.
The last long ass stream we did.
Well, but even before the stream, like we did a Let's Play of
right.
Until Dawn.
You're right.
And we couldn't stop. Like there's never been a time where we played a Let's Play where we're like, all right, how long was that, Kevin? 2.5 hours? Something like that. We played a long ass time.
Until Dawn, Let's Play's 2.5 hours?
I think it's 1 hour, 1.5 hours.
I mean, it's one of the longest
It's
Let's
long,
Plays
okay.
we've ever done. And it was one of those things where multiple moments, like, do you want to stop? And me and Nick are like, we need to know who has sex. We need to do this.
That's
And so-
what kept you going.
Oh, it definitely did. We never got sex.
I respect that.
Never. It's upsetting. Until Dawn 2. Or maybe my choices. I don't know. But anyways, Until Dawn was a very special game. And I'm not quite as in love with the gameplay as I think you are. I still think that playing the game, watching the game, there's not much of a difference. Like when me and Nick were doing the Let's Play, it didn't really matter who was playing, but it's great. And I think that there's a lot of potential with that as a franchise, and not even so much like I'm thinking like a Final Fantasy style thing where it's not like same characters or same world or whatever. It's just like in the style of this, or you know what I mean? It's this gameplay,
Yeah.
and it's a story and there's characters and all this shit, but it's not, in that same exact
It's
world.
not what now. Let's pick up with Sam's story and see what horrible thing she's getting into next. You're
Yeah,
saying,
yeah. But even more than that, like it's not necessarily like in the same universe. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah,
like,
yeah,
just
yeah.
something that's
Well, this is-
totally.
They're horror movies, right? This
Yeah.
is a horror movie video game, so just make me another horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's the 10. Tim Gettys 10
The Tim
favorite
Gettys
games.
10.
Yeah. I want to give it an honorable mention, like a real honorable mention, to Peggle Blast on the iOS.
You're allowed to do that.
And it came out in November of 2014.
Yeah.
So I can't really count it. But I played that game probably more than any of this and you saw me.
Yeah.
During convention
Yeah.
season.
And
That's all I
whenever
did.
you had a moment of free time, you were playing
Just
that game. Yes.
Peggle blasting away.
Yeah.
God, I love that game.
Yeah.
I want more. Please, EA. Stop making anything else. Just make more of that shit.
Close up Madden. Make more Peggle.
Colin.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna get my water real quick.
How things going? How things going with the chat and everything, Kevin? How are we looking on money?
We are almost at 45.
Almost at $45,000 on Kind of Funny. Patreon.com/kindoffunny.
$270 away from 6 episodes.
6 episodes of 45. We're very, very close. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, no matter when you're watching this, unless it's way after the fact, January over on patreon.com/kindoffunny is all about Kind of Funny animated series. So please go there, donate what you can, even if it's just $1. We're trying to do 12 episodes of the animated series. Go watch the pilot. Enjoy yourself.
So I have.
Already angry at your list.
All right, let's start. Let's
How many
start again.
ga-
So
you
there's a clean
can't
break
have-
for Kevin.
Okay,
all right?
sorry. All right, yeah.
You making
sorry.
notes of this, Kevin? Yes. Topic 2.
Sorry.
Colin,
Yeah.
what are your top 10 favorite games of 2015?
Well, I have my 10, but then I also have 8 honorable mentions.
Fuck you. You can do 2 honorable mentions.
No, I'm doing all of them. But
Tim, you're the host. Do something about
I don't
this.
know. I wanna hear what Colin
I bet you my
has to
list
say.
goes just as quick. I want to mention these games. I'm going to do it quick. My honorable mentions for different reasons that didn't make my list. I want to give a shout out to Bloodborne. Played Bloodborne for about 20 hours, maybe a little bit more in the beginning of the year. I was interrupted by some travel. It's one of those games that I've said before that I can't stop playing and then get back into it, and I would have to start again. But I really enjoyed my time with it, and it was the first time I really got a Souls game, and I'd played Demon Souls and especially Dark Souls pretty extensively. I will say, as one of the kind of negative caveats of Bloodborne, is that it has a lot of great fans. It also has a very cringeworthy fan base, a hardcore fan base that needs to kind of get over itself, parts of it, with the way they talk about the game and how like you're an idiot if you don't like it or you're an idiot if you don't play it and stuff like that. Like they really need to like kind of chill on that. I think overall, From did a really nice job with the game. It was the first time I really got a Souls game, and I really do. It's really one of those games that I want to get back to. I think it's really, really fun.
But do you think you ever will?
I think I probably will.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those games that it probably will. Fallout 4, I want to give a shout out to. I was disappointed in it just in the sense that I wanted that Fallout 3 feeling again. I think that might have been an unfair way for me to play it, go in and play it. I played it for about 25 hours. I don't know that I'll ever get back to it anytime soon, but I'd like to maybe when the DLC comes out. I think that Fallout 4 is just more Fallout 3. And I wanted something a little different. That's why that's why I wasn't really into it, and why I think that it's a game that I'll get back to, but maybe my expectations were too high for. Heroes of Loot, I think, is the most casual fan base. Casual game that I played all year. It's actually an iOS port. I played it on Vita, and I really only played it for like 2 days on my Vita, but it's just one of those games. I was going through my trophies, and I was just like, I really liked this game. It's really quite...
Addicting?
Yeah, just for a little bit. It's simple. Mm-hmm. It's kind of silly. It's very... I don't know. I just wanted to give it a shout. iDarb on Xbox One. We played that game quite a bit. And on Xbox One, and I really quite enjoyed that game. I think that game's fun as hell. I was also strangely good at it, which made me feel pretty nice.
iDarb got the cut from my list. It was there, and then I moved it out for something else. But
Well, if you
Shout
would
out
have
to
done 19 honorable
You're right,
mentions,
I guess
you probably
you're
could have fit
right,
it into.
Mario Maker, I wanted to give a shout out to, just because I would never mess with the tools, but especially during our 24-hour live stream for the Big Beautiful Kids that we did in October or November, I just was quite enamored by it. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's a game that has legs. I think they'd be smart to bring it to NX. I think they probably will. And
X is gonna give it to you.
It's just, I would love to see other companies learn from this. I think Nintendo can learn from it too, in the sense that we could get a Zelda Maker, we could get all of these other games, and I would love to see a Zelda Maker in the spirit of the 90s RPG Maker or Fighter Maker or whatever, where it's like you can really get kind of down and dirty with it. But a Mega Man Maker, a Castlevania Maker, some of these, Sonic Maker, if you're into that kind of stuff like that, there was something really cool about it. Project Root, I wanted to give a shout out to. I don't quite know why I like this game, because I don't think that it doesn't have the finest production values. It's not the thing that stands out the most, but similar to Jamestown Plus, which was another game I really kind of fell in love with this year, for weird reasons. It's just an old school arcade shooter, and it just feels good to play those games. And when I was playing it, I was like, I don't quite know why I like this, but I played it all the way through anyway. Super Stardust Delta, I want to give a shout out to, because it's just more Stardust, and I think that's fantastic. And Wolfenstein, The Old Blood, is another game I want to give a shout out to before I give my get into the top 10. The only reason that I didn't put it on my list is because I didn't beat it. I don't know how it ends. But man, I love what Machine Games has done with that series, and I've actually I restarted it recently and I've just been playing it again. It's just fucking really fun. It's just a fun game. All right, top 10. See how quickly I got through that? I got through all of that.
It doesn't matter how
in half
quickly.
the
I don't
time.
care about the time. I care about you diluting the list to not meaning anything. You just gave me your top 18 games of the year.
I didn't. I told
Well,
you
you
I
will, though, combined.
Okay. Number one, predictably, Dying Light. And we're going in alphabetical order. I think that I've said everything I need to say about Dying Light. I think people know ad nauseum how I feel about the game. It's not a game I beat, but it's a game I spent a lot of time with because I was just kind of there was a few weeks where I was really obsessed with it. Played it a lot. Just really went down the rabbit hole, explored, took my time, did side quests, tried different things in combat, tried to make new weapons. I think that it's just a really good game, and I'm really happy for them over there at Techland, that they moved on to something that was dangerous and probably felt a little weird for them, even though it's another zombie game. But everything really kind of came together for it. And I just think I don't want to say it's criminally underplayed because it sold millions and millions of copies. So I think people played it. But I think that because of when it came out and the games that people really enjoyed since then, like Metal Gear, for instance, I think that people have forgotten that it was really good. I think it would have been cannibalized if it came out in the fall. Maybe we wouldn't feel the same way about it, but I think it was the first punch in the face this year, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Mad Max is number 2. You guys didn't play it, so I won't talk too much about it. And again, this is a game I kind of talked about quite a bit, but I think Mad Max showed what an open world can be when it's depopulated and empty. And I know that that's like a weird thing. Like we talk about dense games and like Fallout or The Witcher, where these games have a lot in them and a lot of life and a lot of boisterous characters and things to do in them. Mad Max has a lot of things to do in them, but there's like no one in the world, and there's just remnants of what was in the world. It's eerie to go through a desert that was once an ocean with ships just abandoned in it, and going through the ships and finding old pictures of people's lives before the fall of man, and turning it around and reading little things, notes people, and like how one of the things in terms of storytelling that I thought Mad Max did really well was it really showed the decay of humanity in that in-between period through the notes and the pictures that you found. So there's a real world, and when everything's normal like it is now for us today, and then there's like the decrepit Mad Max world that we know after really the first movie, and they show the time in like the first few years of like when people are really starting to lose their shit, and people are kind of still holding on to why things were so good, but how they can't be good anymore, and just slowly coming to terms with the fact that they're out of food, or they're out of fuel, or they can't move, or their kids are being kidnapped, or whatever. I don't weird things like that, where it's like there's people are in danger and all this kind of stuff. And I think that Avalanche deserves a lot of credit for that game. I think that game is underrated. I understand that the hand-to-hand combat is not really people's bag. I always talk about how Batman Arkham Knight's combat is really boring to me and kind of one-dimensional and shallow, and I really feel that way. Mad Max is even worse because it's predicated on the same thing. But I do say that car combat is really special. Number 3, Mega Man Legacy Collection. This is just a very thoughtful grouping of games, of great games. I think that all 6 of those games, especially I would say 2 through 6, are maybe superior to almost everything I've had on my list. But these are games we played before, and we talk a lot about should games stay the same or should they change. Assassin's Creed, for instance, is an example of a game that has changed mildly, but has stayed the same. We don't quite understand why they haven't fixed the gameplay. Maybe some people feel that way with franchise fatigue. But there's times when I think a game nails the way it feels and the way it plays. And that's why you add these games in 6 years, just one after the other. They're easier to make than the games today too, of course. But they're always going to be timeless, and they're always going to be good. And I like how they ported these over with the care enough to basically make an emulation of the games, or an emulator that plays the games as they were. So they're not ports of games. They're not cleaned up. The slowdown's still there. The flicker's still there. A lot of problems, technical problems that are still in the originals. They tossed in like
the challenge mode and stuff, right? Made it a little bit different.
Yeah, and then there's the challenge mode, which I think is quite cool and really fucking hard. I think it really destroyed people. You look at the trophy list for it. Like a lot of people don't have those trophies. So yeah, the challenge mode was cool, and basically they just figured out a way to write code in the emulator to just pick out parts of games and string them together so you can play Stone Man stage for a little while in Mega Man 5, and then you get transported back to Elect Man stage in Mega Man 1, then you're fighting Quick Man for Mega Man 2 and all these kinds of things. It's really quite ingenious. I think that collection was good. I think it was affordable. It would have been cool to get 7, 8, 9, and 10, but due to the nature of the way that they were porting the games, that's not possible.
The presentation was on point for sure. Like everything about it. Like I think I like that you had the options of the borders, turning them on and off, and simple things, but it's like that's the type of thought that needs to be put into these collections. When you're putting a game out for the millionth time, you know?
Agreed. Rocket League is next. Rocket League is borderline my game of the year. I'm not quite sure what I would, because we're listing in alphabetical order, and I guess we'll figure out like how we choose a game of the year if we will do that, because we're not beholden to the old style, the old media style of these are our nominees and these are our. I don't want to fucking do that. It's boring. But Rocket League, I think, comes closest to what I was looking for in terms of a new and different kind of experience, because I didn't really play the original game on PS3. And Rocket League was another one of those games similar to Shovel Knight where I was positive this game was going to be huge. Like the first time I saw it, I was positive. And I remember talking to Greg about it, and I was like, this game's going to be gigantic. And it was, because it's just fucking fun. And it runs well, and it's got workable online, which I played quite a bit. It's got its own single player season mode to keep you kind of engaged if you want to play by yourself against varying strengths of AI. A lot of unlockables and a nice loop there in terms of just unlocking things, and things unlock randomly, so you can't really kind of gauge what you're going to get next, which I think is fun. Everyone wanted that Team Fat flag. I remember when Rocket League came out, because our Team Fat is in it, and people are like, how do I unlock the Team Fat flag? I'm like, you're going to unlock it first, you're going to unlock it last, like, or anywhere in between. But I think Rocket League is just a rock solid game, and I think they deserve at Psygnosis, or Psyonix rather, not Psygnosis. Psyonix doesn't exist anymore. Psyonix.
They came back from the dead to make this one game.
They deserve an incredible amount of credit for making a fun, dynamic game, basically on the side while they were doing contract work for games like Mass Effect. And I was so happy to hear that they spent about $2 million making it, and they made $50 million. So good for them.
I mean, they did it, man. I think that's the thing, is the fact that everyone is playing that game and still is.
Yeah.
And it's just like, again, going back to the Twitter thing, because that's kind of like what really matters. It's like we talk about all these blockbuster games, but what are people talking about? What are people going back to? And similar to Mario Maker, I think Rocket League's one of those things where it got its claws into people and it's not leaving.
Sure.
Like that's a Smash Bros. Style game, where it's just people are just going to play forever.
Next on my list, and we have different rule sets, which is fine. I'm counting Shovel Knight because I think it's most at home on Vita, and that's where I played it. I platinumed it. I beat the game a lot on Wii U and 3DS and PC. Not so much on 3DS, but on Wii U and PC. We got it early this year. It's still a masterclass in gaming. Yacht Club knows exactly what they're doing. I won't belabor the point on that game anymore because we talked a little bit about it already. But it is right at home on Vita. That is where the game belongs.
That's where I beat it.
And it's just so good. The Witcher 3 on my list.
Interesting.
This is a game that
you talked shit about nonstop.
Yeah, man, and I still think that it's too dense. I don't think it's this masterpiece at all. But I do think it's great. And I think that this was the game I played the most this year by far. I played it for about 60 or 70 hours, which would have been enough time to have beaten even most open world RPGs, maybe even twice. And I want to give it credit for a few reasons. This was a game that I had to reflect a lot on, and we did, and I had time to think about it over the months since it's come out, 6 months or so since I even played it. And that's not quite true, maybe 4 or 5 months. But it's one of those games that, similar to Dying Light, as we talked about with Techland, the studio delivered a game that I don't think thought they were capable of. And it's a game that has a lot of love and thought put into it. It's beautiful. It's thoughtful. It's got some good voice acting, and I don't know. I think that the gameplay maybe left a little bit to be desired for me. I think that there's way too much shit in the game for a player like me. I just can't ignore that stuff. I feel like I'm not getting the full experience. I feel like I know a lot of people like to just run through and do the main quest in a lot of those games. I just can't play games like that. It's just not the way I play, which is why sometimes I desire a more linear experience. But I think that Witcher 3 deserves credit. Not my game of the year, but certainly one of the better games I played this year, and really excited to see what they do with their next game, and Witcher will continue as well in the future. So interested to see what they do there. Maybe another candidate for my favorite experience of the year is 3/4 Home. I played it on Vita. It's also available on PC and PS4 and other platforms. Similar to Journey, it was one of those games I will never play again. There's no reason to play it again, and it was an emotional. I don't know, an emotional experience. It was a kind of a gut punch for me in some ways. I don't want to ruin the story too much, but it's about a girl, late teens, early 20s, and her relationship really with her family, experienced largely through a telephone call she has with her family while she's driving, it just hit home for me. I really loved it. I really, really loved it. I was so glad that I played it. It wasn't a game that I was excited about, and I remember we did a Let's Play for it, and we kind of experienced it. I was like, all right, I've seen enough, but I really went back and played it again, and I think that it's worth, like, on a quiet Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, whatever, day, night, what you want. Like, it's a game, just download and play it. Just give it like an hour or two and just play it. And I really think you'll like it.
My question for you about it is, when you beat Journey, you walked away from Journey and never touched it again. When you beat 3/4 Home, did you go back and get the rest of the trophies?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, me too.
Because most of them came like in some sort of prologue system.
And it was super easy to jump around and get. Yeah, I know.
Which is, and what was interesting was that playing those scenes at the bus stop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a separate part of the game, really expanded the story and actually made it even more sad.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I recommend 3/4 Home. You should check that game out. Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection. I include on here. Just really 3 fantastic games. I think 3 is better than 2. I know that's a minority opinion, but
not here at this table.
I mean, it's still a minority.
But
wait, no,
that's not how it works. Actually, no.
I'm
When
tired.
there's more than one,
How am I
that's the
so
majority. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be mean.
no, it's okay.
So I think that what can we say about Uncharted that hasn't already been said? These games are fantastic. They must be played. And some people have problems with the finicky kind of controls if you're not used to the kind of third-person shooters. And I understand that there are better third-person shooters. There are third-person shooters that I like more on a gameplay level for sure. I think Vanquish is one of my favorites, for instance, or Gears. But storytelling-wise, pacing, set pieces, twists and turns and weirdness, that kind of Indiana Jones feel. I don't know. You don't really get much better than Uncharted. And that really made me excited for Uncharted 4. And I platinumed 1 and 2 again. So I have 5 Uncharted platinums now.
Very nice.
Until Dawn. I would say biggest surprise, but we kind of knew it was going to be good. I think
but it
for
built
a while.
slowly. And that was the thing. Yeah, we had rumblings and all this different stuff. But it was that when we first saw that game, it was a move title. And we're like, okay. And then when it resurfaced, like, that seems cool. And then we played it. And we did that Let's Play on that preview build. And it was like, frame rate's kind of weird, and then they fixed that even.
Yeah. I think Until Dawn is a phenomenal game. I would call it the best exclusive on PS4 this year, and not that there's like much competition in terms of volume. But it is a better Quantic Dream game than Quantic Dream really made, which I think is interesting. And I think that it's a game, it's proof that it gives me hope for The Last Guardian in weird ways, because it's proof that a game can exist for a long time and even be reworked and remade completely, which Until Dawn was, and be really good. Usually when a game is in development for a long time, it could like with Final Fantasy 15, it could be bad.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying Final Fantasy 15 is going to be bad. As I said before, I have no doubt that it's going to be at least good.
2015, it's happening.
I hope so, just for everyone's sake, so I can stop hearing about it. But for me, it was an example of, like, we saw this game years ago at Comic-Con. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago now, running PlayStation Move game, and it was radically different from what we ended up with. And I like that they were smart enough at Sony, Shuhei, and those guys to kind of be like, let's move this PS4, let's get rid of the motion controls, and like let's really dig down on why this game's special. I was surprised that they didn't advertise it more. That was a huge problem for me in terms of, like, I don't think they quite understood what they had. I think that they felt burned by the Order 1886, and I think that which was not a good game at all. And I think that they kind of conflated the way people would feel about both these games being kind of second party exclusives. But I think that they added gold with Until Dawn. I think that they kind of gave it short shrift. I think they probably should have released it closer to Halloween, or at least given it another push. So, it's a fantastic game. It's one I recommend. I think it's a fun party game. It's fun to play with people.
Definitely.
It's fun. There's replay value there. And I agree with what you were saying about it before, in the sense that this is obviously going to be an IP. They're going to make a sequel. I don't think there's any chance of the sequel including the same characters, the same story. I just think that they can make this game every other year.
They've already announced it. Until Dawn. Rush of Blood.
Yeah, Rush of Blood, which is a VR
which
game.
honestly, like, it's not what we want. That's a fun game. I don't know if you
Really?
guys. It's
I haven't played it. I haven't played it.
entirely. Yes, it's very, very,
Okay.
very fun.
No one asked you,
Out of
Kevin.
all the VR games that I've played, it's the most gamey, and it's cool.
Okay.
It reminds me of arcade games.
Does it remind you of that thing you guys do at Disneyland when you go in the Andy's
Yeah.
thing and you're like, pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, like Buzz Lightyear and stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's a good
And
thing.
Pop, pop.
so Until Dawn, I mean, you guys know what it's all about. I think that, I think it's a game for many different people. I think it's a game casual gamers can play. I think it's a hardcore
100%.
gamers game. I think there's no fail state, much like a Quantic Dream game like Heavy Rain, and the game just keeps going. So you can theoretically not really do anything in it at all except for move your character and kind of go from point A to point B. But I thought the writing was really clever. I think that the writing was really lost on some people. I think that people are like, well, it's weird and it's bad. I'm like, dude, it's supposed to be a fucking teen horror movie. And I know that some people looked at that as being like, well, that's a cop-out because that protects them from any legitimate sorts of debate about if the writing's good or things of this nature. And I'm like, let's not think about it too deeply.
I mean, no, but even more than that, though, is like it's just because something isn't great doesn't mean that it's easy to make something not great. Like, when that's the goal. It needs to be good writing to make something that hits that tone. You know, like a 90s horror movie, like a lot of the twists that happen Until Dawn, they're bad. But that's the point.
Yeah, that is
You
the
know?
point. And I get that it protects them from controversy in terms of like, well, this is bad. And I'm like, well, it's not supposed to be serious. It's a fucking teen horror movie. It's a slasher film. It's stupid. But that was why it was fun. It doesn't. Since it's so easy to compare both in the ecosystem and from developers with Supermassive and then Quantic Dream, and I've made this comparison multiple times already today, there's something to be said about Heavy Rain's a great game. It's one of my favorite games on PS3. I think that Beyond Two Souls, it was a failure largely. I think it made no sense, and I think that it was just, I have no idea why it was out of order, and which they acknowledged themselves when they let you put it in order on PS4, which I thought was funny as hell because I was like, that was obviously one of the weird things about that game that a lot of people complain about. But when you have an air of pretension about your games like they do, and you have a pretension about the way you do games, whether it's good or bad, because I actually really like David Cage, but there's a pretension about the way we deliver these games, the experience and the art or whatever. Well, I think people nail your game a little harder, and I think the way Supermassive talked about Until Dawn and kind of just when they showed it at PSX for the first time playable, and people were in the crowd were really into it. I think that showed like how you might want to treat games like this, and I'll be really interested to see with Detroit, which is Quantic Dream's next game, the PS4 exclusive, what they've learned, because if they're smart, and they should look at Until Dawn as a game they can learn a great deal from, because they are no longer the leading pioneers of that kind of game. And that's so, I don't know if Greg agrees, but that surprised me. It was they are no longer untouchable in that sense, and they are certainly not delivering the best of the best.
100%. You figure they stumbled with Beyond Two Souls, regardless if you think it was good or bad. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it was a mixed reaction, whereas Heavy Rain was pretty much universally praised and was like their real breakout hit, right? I mean, they had done games before then that people loved, but not on that scale, I don't think. And so, yeah, they were weak for a moment there, and then you did have Until Dawn come in. But Until Dawn and, these guys could easily be what Quantic Dream was with Heavy Rain, right? Screw up the next one, do this. It will be interesting to see with Detroit how much they've learned and what they come out and how they message the game and do different things with it.
And the final game on my list is Zeo Drifter, which I played on Vita, but you can play it on Nintendo platforms. I think it's on PC. I think it's also on PS4. Zeo Drifter is like a bite-sized. What I thought was clever about it was it's a bite-sized Metroidvania game. You can beat it in like under an hour if you wanted to. But you can spend a few hours with it if you really need to. It's basically 4 kind of disparate planets. It is a Renegade Kid game, so it is very pixelated and very stylized. And you basically just jump from place to place and get new abilities that then let you go back to other planets and get further and further into the stages until you beat fight the final boss and beat the game. It's a lot of palette swapping with enemies and even bosses. It is not a huge game by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of lost myself to it when I played it and really enjoyed it. It's funny because it was one of the first games we played when we actually broke off in January, and then I played it on Steam and I'm like, I don't really get it. It's a game you have to kind of think about a little bit, but once you get it, I came into Vita later and I played it again and I really enjoyed it. And I highly recommend it. It's Zeo with an X, Xeo Drifter, and I really enjoyed that game. So I think that people will like that. If you're looking, it's not like Symphony of the Night or Shadow Complex. It's maybe more akin to Shadow Complex because you can beat that game quickly too, but it's not like the Strider remake or Symphony of the Night or any of those kinds of games where it's going to take you 10, 15, 20, 25 hours to beat. Like, there's no way it takes you more than a few hours, unless you're just terrible at it. So I would go down that direction. Zeo Drifter is my final game of the year for 2015.
Awesome. Greg,
Hey, how are you?
top 10 favorite games of 2015.
Do we want to check in?
We do want
on
to check in. Let's do that.
patreon.com/kindafunny.
How things going?
Nick? Nick is updating. He's holding his hand up.
$80 away.
$80 away from $45,000, which would guarantee us
6 episodes.
correct.
Half the season.
Right.
I'm kind of funny, the animated season.
We're within striking distance of waxing a part of Greg's body.
Yeah. So if we get to, what is it, 46?
Yeah, 46.
If we get to 46,000, we're going to wax Greg.
Part of me.
Part of Greg.
Okay.
Yeah. Not all of you.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure.
Well, your nimbly bits will be
Spill.
okay.
Okay, good.
Leaving
I didn't
those
know where
alone.
you're waxing, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
where
I'm
we're
not
going.
sure either. We'll
Okay.
figure it out. I'm not
Remember-
sure it's going to be me either.
If you're watching this in January, please go to patreon.com/kindoffunny. Donate there. All the money we raise in January on patreon.com/kindoffunny goes to making the animated series a reality. Right now, we're in the middle of live streaming.
Yes.
We're recording this,
Mm-hmm.
keeping it very profesh, but we're also streaming it on Twitch, where we're asking people not to sub to us or donate to us there. Go to patreon.com/kindoffunny. Give us your money there.
Lovely.
Let it roll till February. My top 10 games of the year. I had one honorable mention. Then this guy comes in and ruins it. So I moved it to 3 on the fly.
Go for
so
it.
there you go. First honorable mention that would have for sure cracked this list if it had come earlier and I had time to digest it. Life is Strange. Caveat, it did come earlier. I just didn't play it till this break. Life is Strange, I had heard so many good things about. I had played episode 1 upon release, not knowing much about it. So when you got to like some of the twists at the end and stuff, I was like, this is weird and I don't know how I feel about it. And so then just by happenstance, all the other episodes piled up. This break, I sat down and played through them all and blown away. Such a great game. So much fun. Love the story. Love the characters. Love the world. Just this little seaside town or whatever. And again, it's one of those I don't want to go in and knock off one of these games that I've thought about to put it in there. So it has to be an honorable mention, but it would have for sure made my top 10 list.
A lot of people have
Otherwise-
recommended me to play that
Oh, you
game.
dig it. Yeah, you would dig it a lot.
I hear they
Yeah,
say
yeah.
hella a lot.
They do say hella a lot. Chloe says hella a lot.
I'm into it.
You're a big hella fan.
I am.
All right, cool. So play Life is Strange, everybody. That's getting a disc-based release
cool.
now in the new year anyway. So
I like
you can get there
discs.
too. Next honorable mention, alphabetical order, of course. Taco, motherfucking master.
Good Lord, Greg.
Ju-
You're unstoppable.
He can put Here's a Loot on there. Nobody gives him shit. Another iOS game just
Right.
ported over that's super simple and doesn't mean much. Taco Master, fun, $3, a platinum in an afternoon. What else could I want out of for the Vita? Something I can then, because you know what I did with it? I took it to Star Wars and platinumed it waiting for Star Wars to start. Sounded perfect. It was great. You know what I mean? Going with the right expectations, you're going to have fun with Taco Master. Greg Miller's honorable mention number 2 of the year.
Did you make it hit the charts?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
I have a feeling when they release digital sales on the PSN of what charted for the month, Taco Master should be on there for the Vita games. And it's going to be 1,000% because of us.
That's amazing.
Because if you didn't know,
Because of you. Take some credit for that.
because of me. And if you didn't know,
Yeah, I
it's
will take
because
no credit.
everyone who owns a Vita and wants to play Vita games watches Kind of Funny. And so when they hear us say, hey, there's this Vita game everybody should play, everybody's like, oh, okay, cool. Just like that Cold Trails of Steel, what is it? That supposedly is
Trails of
JRPG
Steel,
on
Cold
Vita.
Blood, I think.
I'm trying to get a copy right now, and even then I'm going to be behind on it. But that's supposed to be really good too. So everybody keep your eye out on that one. And then third honorable mention, Witcher 3. Witcher 3, this year, I was, in the mood. Oh, we hit 45? 45, everybody, been hit. $45,000 on patreon.com/kindoffunny. Thank you very much, Twitch people who are watching this live. People who are watching this or listening to it later as a Gamescast, please consider going to patreon.com/kindoffunny, supporting Nick Scarpino's dream for an animated series. We want to get 12 episodes. We're halfway there.
We are.
Witcher 3 came about this year, and this year, I think when we knew, or at least had the, Colin was right moment, even before we had the Colin was right and we just had the prediction of Fallout 4 coming that year, I was like, yes, that sounds so awesome. I want an open world to get lost in and take quests and wander around and do all these different things. And Witcher 3 came in the summer before we got Batman. And I saw it, and the more I heard about it and saw videos for it, I was like, I don't like fantasy. It's just not my thing. I don't like magic. I don't like medieval times kind of crap. You know what I mean? But it looked fun. And I got it, played it for 25, 30 hours, and I had a great time with it. And it's weird because now that I'm starting to knock things off my, list, my backlog now, or at least I feel myself being a bit drawn back to it of like, I want to go check in and see what's up and go a little bit further, especially because I watched Christine's favorite games of the year, right? And obviously she's a huge Witcher fan. And what
It's just Witcher.
yeah, Witcher over and over again. What I'd never heard her talk about, and she talked about in the video, was the fact that, yeah, Act 1 does go on too long, but Act 2 and 3 pick up and get crazy, and that's really where it is. And I was like, oh, well, fuck, I got out Act 1 or whatever. You know what I mean? I was running around. I'd like to see why so many people, when we say, no, my game of the year, freak out about it. So many people lose their shit and say it's the best, and I've put hundreds of hours in it, and I beat it. I couldn't believe the ending. I'm like, all right, maybe I should give it another shot. And maybe I'll have some time, but probably not. Because,
Spoilers.
Taco Master 2 got to be coming eventually.
That's true.
So now we're into top 10 alphabetical order. That means Batman Arkham Knight's at the top of the list. Now, what I find interesting about Batman Arkham Knight is when I talk about it, and when we've talked about it before, and I always feel like I talk about the negatives first. You know what I mean? I don't like the bat. I don't like the tank. I didn't like fucking strafing around, shooting 43 things out of the sky, and these guys shooting missiles at me and all that dumb shit. I didn't like the fact that they. I always say lied, but I say it in a joking way. That they said, "Oh, Arkham Knight's a character of our own creation," and then it wasn't. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was like, oh. And it was like choreographed, like they telegraphed it way early. Here's the thing. I'm going to spoil Batman Arkham Origins. Batman Arkham Origins was set up as, this is a game about Black Mask hiring all these people. And you're like, that sounds pretty cool. And you played Arkham Origins, and I think it was in the first hour, but maybe the first hour and a half, where it's like, no, it's not. I'm the Joker, and this is the Joker's origin story. And you were like, holy fuck. That was like, well, yes, a million times. And you played through it, and it was awesome, and it doesn't get enough credit as a game or a Batman Joker story because it's amazing. Arkham Knight went the opposite way of like, you think this guy's a new guy, but he's not. And they did that 7 or 8 hours in or whatever the hell it was, and I'd figured it out at hour 2. And you're like, well, is there any real and I feel like that's what I talk about. And part of that is the fact that Batman games are great games, or whatever you wanted to call them, right? Most everybody, not call, you don't just like the combat usually. Most everybody likes Batman. They're positive, but at the third one, there's only so much left of the good stuff to say. Like the expectations start getting so high, you get into an Uncharted 3 situation where, no matter what, it's the negatives that are going to stand out. But I loved the gameplay. I love the world. Beautiful. The story is good. There are some great twists and turns that I didn't see. The one thing I love about Rocksteady, and I don't know if I'll forget it again, but I feel like with every one of the Batman games they did in their Arkham trilogy is the fact that you play it and it's just a regular Batman game for so long, and then there's always some crazy thing they do where, like, in Arkham Asylum, right, where you all of a sudden start walking around as Bruce Wayne, you know what I mean, after his parents get shot and you're baby Bruce Wayne or whatever. Or, then in Arkham City you get dropped into the Mad Hatter's thing and it's all twisted around, and it's like, for so long it's just I'm running around fighting criminals, and all of a sudden now I'm in this weird world of the Scarecrow missions where he's stabbing the ground and stuff. Like, you don't see that coming. And Arkham Knight did that again in 2 different ways that I want to spoil. When I was like, oh shit, that was really cool, and I didn't expect that. You know what I mean? And I loved it. I also, as always, am one of the few people I ever see defending the season pass in their DLC. I bought the season pass originally beginning. It delivered what my expectations were for it. You know what I mean? If not even a little bit more. And the fact that I bought it because I was excited for Batgirl's mission. They said they're going to do some character missions and then some stuff at the end. I was waiting for all that. But lo and behold, I found myself, every time I jump in to play Nightwing's 20 or 30 minute mission or whatever the hell it was, I'd beat that, and then I'd go out and be like, oh, right, and I have all these Batmobiles, and I have all these challenges, and I'm like, oh, that silver isn't that hard to get. I should try. And I have all those trophies now. You know what I mean? I looked at my game clock, and it was something like I platinumed Arkham Knight, then did all the DLC trophies, and before I probably put like 75 or 80 hours in Arkham Knight, according to it. You know what I mean? Maybe 70 to 80, we'll say, somewhere in there, based on the fact that I think it was 64 before I really launched into the DLC over. And that's preposterous. I did not expect that when we were talking about Arkham Knight, when we were looking into Arkham Knight ahead of time. You know what I mean? I thought I'd play it for that summer period before Metal Gear and before or after Witcher. And so to come back and actually use the season pass is something weird for me, because I buy them a lot. Where I'm like, I like your game and I want to support you. You know what I mean? Like Witcher is one of those ones. I don't know if I'll ever get to the content. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, I did the same thing. I don't know if I'll ever really get to that content. And here I did. That was cool. Next one on my list of my real top 10, number 2, but not ordered, alphabetical. Emily's Away. We've already talked about it. You hit the nail on the head. Like that game, I talk about, when I talk about that game and write about that game, what I say is like, we sat down to play this game and it turned out that it was a time machine. Like playing that game and picking your buddy icon and typing, like I am immediately, and it's one of those, it's such a Greg memory that it's hard to explain, but I am taken back to my desk at Mizzou where I had freshman year taken out. I'd find funny things and cut them out and then tape them to my desk. And I had my giant Toshiba laptop here and my window out to the wall in front of Hatch Dormitory. And I am there talking to my high school friends and misconnection high school girls where it was like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know what I was doing. They didn't know what they're doing.
A lot of SUPs, SUP.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, and like when we like started clicking through and seeing people's away messages and their profile where they're quoting a band and they're doing this. And it's like, right. Like it was a literal time capsule where, you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden I am back in 2002. I am right there. You know what I mean? I'm back in 2001. I forget when it's actually set. I know it's early 2000s, but for me, I'm back in 2001, right? Where like they had the Blink 182 Take Off Your Pants and Jacket like album cover as a buddy icon. And I so distinctly remember seeing them at the Warped Tour and having that album and my freshman year roommate that was assigned to me through Mizzou, like being, oh, I like Blink 182. Oh, you have that one. I have this version, like talking about that. And that was something talked about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that's a really good point. It's not only did they nail the AIM aspects of it and the buddy icons and the message and stuff. It's like the time machine thing of having the icons, like you didn't choose your icon. It was, well, you didn't like make your own or whatever. It's like you chose from a list and that list was just a bunch of like 2004 things. Like these are the albums that came out then. And we had fun looking at them and being like, all right, this is Eminem. This is, Black Eyed Peas. This is whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
What is that? What is that?
Yeah, we
and then,
called
like,
Colin
sit
in for
there and
one
it's
of
like,
them,
oh yeah.
That's right.
And like, that's cool. Like they nailed it and they nailed it a way where it's like, the game just made you think differently. It made you think like, wow, okay, what was happening?
Yeah.
Then? Like what did my iPod look like? Then?
Yep. And that's the thing we on our sister podcast, the Game Over Greggy Show, we've talked about nostalgia a lot. You know what I mean? And this game made me nostalgic for things I didn't realize I missed, or that because like who would ever think that like I would miss the AIM sound effects or what? Yeah, how like the little pixelated logos or anything. You know what I mean? It's like stuff that like if you were to talk to me about AIM, I would list a million things, tell you stories, but not the feeling of using the program. And this nailed that. And then, to have the conversations, and you and me are like trying to play this like emotional chess match, right? With this girl where it's like, we don't want to pick wrong because we're not trying, like the way the whole thing, it's just so amazing. Good. Amazing. Next on my list of top 10, Fallout 4. Fallout 4 for me, I think the most telling conversation we had about it was leading into the Gamescast when you were talking to Colin and I about it before we had it. And you're like, well, what does it need to do to be great? Or what is it? And I'm like, right now, my expectation is it's going to be a souped up version of Fallout 3. It'll look better, run better, be like Fallout 3. And then that'll make a great game. And for it to be amazing, it'll do something I'm not prepared for. And I don't know. And that's what'll blow me away with it. Right. And now looking back at Fallout 4, having the Platinum Trophy, being excited for the DLC, it did the first thing. It just was a souped up version of Fallout 3, which is great. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a knock on it. It just never jumped to this thing where I was like, oh my God, I can't, you know what I mean? It added the base building stuff, which I hate, which I think is poorly executed and wasn't fun. And I didn't really put any time into it until I needed the trophy. And then it turned out that it sucked doing it that way. You know what I mean? There was no, for me, and maybe I missed it, even though I, like I said, had the platinum, played that game in a million different ways. There was no draw to go do base building until you needed that trophy. And like that sucked. You know what I mean? And it sucked not being able to make things the way you really wanted them to look or line up walls. I remember when I started doing it, like the walls aren't snapping to corners the right way. So you have these janky houses. And I'd complain about it online. People are like, well, it's post-apocalyptic. It's supposed to look. I'm like, I get that. But like, that's not what I want right now. You know what I mean? I don't want it to look like porcelain, fine glass and china or something. I want it to look, like there's a straight corner. And it's dumb, but it like took me out of it. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. And I ran around the countryside and did a million things. And I love that. I had such a great time with that. You know what I mean? And that's why it's there. And that's why I love it. But it really is like, it's more Fallout 3. And that's great. And that's what I wanted. But I always feel like when I talk about it, it's like, all right, yeah, it's what you expected. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We knew who they were. We let them off the hook. Mm-hmm. You want to crown its ass? Crown its ass.
Denny Green.
Next one up on my list, IDARB. I think you talked about it. We talked about it. IDARB, so much fun to play. You know what I mean? Like that was when for me, it'll always be one of the solidifying moments of what Kind of Funny Games was. You know what I mean? We literally a year ago today, we launched all this and then started trying to figure out what we were and how we did Let's Plays. And when we did that first Let's Play, and we were like, what is this game? Okay, boy. And then it was like there was that switch where we're like, holy shit, we need more controllers. Get all 8 controllers. We all need, you know what I mean? It was like this is amazing. It's so much fun. And it strikes me in the same vein as Rocket League, where you can take the controller and you can play it and you can jump in and you can have a great time. And then you can also sit there and spend hours getting amazing at it and then be on a whole different level. But either way is still fun. You know what I mean? Loved the characters, loved being able to play as Invincible in a video game. You know what I mean? Loved the fact that people could create us and send in all this different stuff. Had an amazing time with it. Next up in my top 10 in alphabetical order, Lego Dimensions.
Of course.
You say of course, and it's like Lego Dimensions for me was such a slow sell. You know what I mean? And it's because I'm a big Lego game fan, period. But when they did that trailer that was like, we're getting into, the toys of life genre or whatever, I was like, okay, cool. And we were doing Colin and Greg live, and I was like, we're talking about it, and Colin read the story, we watched the trailer, and he's like, so what do you think, Greg? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I don't know. Check it out as it gets closer. I like TT games, but for me to be guaranteed to buy it, they need to put Superman and Ghostbusters in it. And then the chat was like, they tease those at the end of the trailer. You just watched, but you cut it off early. I was like, well, all right, I'm in. You know what I mean? And then at Comic-Con, I finally got to play it and see it in action. And I was like, oh, it's the Lego games. You know what I mean? And I remember getting the demo, and the guy's like, well, what did you think it was going to be? And I'm like, I don't know. Like Disney Infinity.
Like the other Toys to Life stuff.
Disney Infinity's fine, but it's very basic, and it's running around and it's doing this. And like, I didn't expect it was going to be that you're taking the Lego games of different genres, shoving them together, and then giving me minifigs. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, all right, now I'm more excited for this game I already said I was going to buy, and I was taking photos of like Chell and all these different characters. And then you jump to when they came in to do the stream with us here on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. And when they came in and sat down and actually played it and let me do it, and they started from the beginning, and they're like, all right, and now like they, faked it because we were doing a stream, but like they pulled up the thing and like, otherwise you'd have to go through this instruction. I'm like, wait, you build the toys while you're playing the game? And they're like, yeah. And then I was like watching, like we're in the Back to the Future level, and it's got like the Out of Time logo and that, and it's Huey Lewis and the News is playing as you go around Hill Valley Square, and then you go to the future and you go way back to the Old West. And I was like, I can't fucking believe this. And they're like, yes, it's almost like we actually care. And you're like, yeah, that's the thing. You're like, I'm not knocking anybody who makes licensed games or anything, but this one had every one of the levels in Lego Dimensions. And I don't mean the level packs. I mean the stuff that's built on the disc with the three characters. It's built with the love and passion of the other Lego games. You know what I mean? The other Lego games I fall in love with when I play a Star Wars or a DC one, right? Where it's like there's all these little things. They're all there. And that, then you play it, and it's one of the rare occasions where I'm playing something like that, and it works in reverse, where I played the Doctor Who level, and I was like, huh. Doctor Who seems kind of cool, and I went and watched Doctor Who level. And I was like, then I bought the Doctor Who level pack. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It works.
They gotcha.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I want to watch more, even though I'm just bored. But I watched that one, that crossover Doctor Who they had with Jessica Jones. That was really interesting. Next game on my list. It was a joke.
I got it.
Okay. Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 5. There's not much left to say about Metal Gear Solid 5. You talked a lot about it. You brought up the gameplay loop. I had to go back to another one. This is a sell for me, honestly. When Ground Zeroes had come out at I was at IGN. I was on the hosting duties already, so I wasn't like going to preview events and stuff. And so I remember, I think it was Mitch came back and said, you are going to love this. It's Peace Walker. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God. And then Ground Zeroes came out, and I took a day off work to play that and Titanfall and stream them. And I put Ground Zeroes in, and I got through the main mission, and then I tried to do all the side stuff. And I was like, oh, like I'm getting captured every 5 seconds. I feel totally impotent in this game. And like the way the concrete walls go up there on the side, I'm like, it doesn't feel freeing. It feels more constricting. You know what I mean? And it was like, whatever. And so then when we left a year ago today, and I got invited down to that preview thing, I went down preview like, this is cool. I'm excited to play. And then it was like, you played that, and I was like, holy shit, like, this is awesome. And I came back and told you, like, unless Fallout does something, that's going to be my game of the year. You know what I mean? And then to go and play it and then be whatever, 120, 30 hours into it now, it's just like, that game for me is, incredible. It's amazing. You know what I mean? And it's like what you said, and I'm one of the guys who says it, like, I don't think the story's that great. I don't think the story's bad. I don't think it's like memorable Metal Gear. You know what I mean? I don't think it's like changing the life, but the gameplay, like, you know what I mean? Even when we sat down and did the extra live stream and I was back here trying to platinum it, I'm picking up and jumping in, and immediately it's just like, oh, this feels so good. You know what I mean? This is so much fun to tackle these ops from different things and do this, and I'm going to change my loadout, and it's just like, yes, this is Peace Walker. Ground Zeroes wasn't. I think Phantom Pain is. And that's why I like it. Next up, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Shout out to Nicole Tan. Beautiful game. Another game that I think really nails a gameplay loop. You know what I mean? Like, all right, you're into this new environment. You come in, and it's like, Great. Here's your little mission. There's your main mission. You do the little mission, which gives you another little mission, which gives you another little mission. Here are the coin caches, and here's this thing. Oh, there's a tomb over here. Oh, and like hour and a half later, like, whoa, oh, the main mission. Right, I'm supposed to do that, but I'm so close. You hit pause, and you see all the 1 out of 5s, and I got 4 out of 5 here. I might as well try to find this last relic, and I'd really like to get my Russian boosted up a bit so I can. It's like, hell yeah, this game's awesome. You know what I mean? Like that is, and this is what I always say, and it gets me a lot of hate. I really wish that would have come to PlayStation because I'd love to add that platinum to my collection. Like there's so many other things I want to play that I don't want to invest in Xbox to get the 1,000 points because I'm just not an achievement guy. You know what I mean? But playing through that game, it was just so good. It was so much fun to play. Story again though, totally forgettable. I feel like playing through it and they're like, well, and I was like, okay. And then they reintroduce this guy that you saw in the very beginning and he says something and she's like, oh, and I'm like, oh right, you were in the first Tomb Raider, weren't you? Fuck, I don't remember any of you guys except the guy with the escape shirt. Did he even live? I don't know. Whatever. You all suck. Next up, another Xbox One exclusive / on PC as well. State of Decay, Year 1 Survival Edition. My story with State of Decay is at IGN, McCaffrey and I had done a bunch of Let's Plays for it. It came out on 360 and PC, and it came out, I think, right before or literally right after E3. And so I was exhausted when I came back from E3, tried to play it, and I was like, I don't want to play it right now. I'll get back to it. Never got back to it. So when State of Decay Survival Edition came out, I was like, yeah, all right, cool. And then, yeah, that was 2 weeks of my life. Just bashing zombies in the head, clearing off things. Because it was scratching all the needs itches I wanted from open world games of, here's the map, and I'm putting a big X over this building. I've searched everything in that building, and now I'm going to go do that. And in between those, you're taking your rucksack back to base and doing this and killing a zombie. And, oh, wait, there's somebody over there, and there's a horde. And you know what I mean? Like, I existed in that world. This was a year where I just wanted to get into games and exist in them. VR, right? Next one. Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh man,
What?
the pause after Tales for a second. I was like, thought you were fucking around.
Oh, no.
Thought you're going with some Tales of whatever the hell.
Oh, Tales of Exilia. No, Tales from the Borderlands. For Tales of the Borderlands, like I like Telltale. I don't play Telltale games that don't interest me. So, I don't like Wolf Among Us, didn't play it. I've tried episode 1, wasn't my bag. Tried Game of Thrones episode 1, just not my bag. I'm not fans of those universes necessarily. Meanwhile, Walking Dead, I'm going to jump into and be crazy with, right? Tales from Borderlands came out though, and it was the same thing of just like, I've never given a shit about, I love playing Borderlands because I love co-op games with Christine and getting cool guns and leveling up and doing all that stuff. I've never cared about the universe. You know what I mean? Like that's never, I'm like, tell me a story in the Borderlands universe. I was like, whatever. It came out, downloaded it, and it just sat on my PS4 forever. And then there was some day we had here that went poorly. And I was bent out of shape and grumpy at the end of the night. And I was out here and it was one of those, I wanted probably Fallout and nothing is not out. Nothing's filling that, void of what I want to play. And I eventually came through the rotation on the PlayStation 4 and it was like, Tales, like, sure, I'll give this a shot. And I was totally thinking it's going to be a Game of Thrones. It's going to be a Wolf Among Us where I'll play episode 1 and be like, this is not for me. And instead, 15 minutes later, I'm laughing and I'm totally into it and I love the characters. And then every episode after that came out and was hilarious and funny and endearing. And like, I still sit here and I talk about, Loaderbot when he's like, it's a mixed bag, and your introduction of Gortys and stuff like that. And it's just like, this is awesome. Like there is so much comedy in that game that's so well done. Like, and it's my surprise of the year. Like you were talking earlier in the show, which seems like a year and a half ago.
I know, it's ridiculous.
We have so much to say about the games we love. Tales blew me away. Wasn't expecting it to be that great, and it was awesome.
I want to give a shout out to Game of Thrones, just real quick. I only played the first episode, but I enjoyed it, and it was one of those things. Oh, I'll get to it when it's done. And then I guess it's done now.
I think so. Yeah, Christine played through it.
There's 6 episodes. I think,
yeah,
this one.
And then final one because the alphabetical list, Until Dawn. And that one for sure I don't have to beat. We all love Until Dawn. We've talked about Until Dawn. I was upset when we did the live stream for Extra Life when I was over here trying to stay awake and I kept taking cat naps. And I don't know what made me think this, but you're getting close to the ending and I just wanted to see your final confrontation in that house because I was enjoying watching you play, period. Because it's fun after your first playthrough to watch other people and be like, oh, they don't know what's about to happen. Oh, I didn't do that. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, I just want to see who survives. I'm like, I'll shut my eyes and I'll totally wake up before. And I woke up as the credits are rolling. I'm like, God fucking damn it. But yeah, Until Dawn's great.
Yeah, it is awesome. All right, let's check in real quick. Where are we at with stuff, Kevin? Can you give us anything?
Here, I'll look.
Kevin's looking at a book. He can't help you.
I got it.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Kevin?
I didn't know what you
Don't
were.
ever apologize. You're perfect.
$256.
All right.
So $800 away from having to wax me.
I want to wax you so bad.
Please don't wax me.
It's going to be great. All right. Moving on to the final topic, the big one. Kind of Funny Games Game of the Year 2015. Let's start this off just by talking about what is that?
Yeah, what do we do?
What does that even mean? You know? Do you
Yeah.
have any thoughts in your head of what that should look like? Because what we did last year, it was on January 5th, actually. We put out a first Gamescast topic. I think the first Gamescast topic ever was, what's the Game of the Year 2015?
Yeah.
Or 2014. And we all just kind of gave our
Personal ones.
one personal one, and that was it.
Sure.
We could do that again, or we could do that and then kind of
Pick
argue
one.
about what the one Kind of Funny Games one is, or I don't know. Nick,
Yeah.
what's your Game of the Year?
Metal Gear.
Okay, Nick's is Metal Gear. So
Yeah.
just so everyone knows.
So it was
Metal Gear
down
Solid
to Metal Gear and Axiom Verge.
No, it wasn't. Action Verge is a great game, but it was down from Metal Gear or Arkham,
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you played Arkham too. I forgot about that.
which was phenomenal, and I agree with it.
Yeah. It's fine. Don't worry. We hear you. We love you.
I gotta give it to Metal Gear.
All right.
Fucking accomplished.
Metal Gear.
So-
I mean, I don't know. Like the thing about it is, I appreciate one award. You know what I mean? But the problem is like, are we those? Is that what we are? No. I mean, I think honestly, I guess we did that though. I was gonna say what we should do is what we did at E3, where we put up all the individual faces, so we each had one. But then we did come down to a game of the show there. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things of I like celebrating, and like what you just said, you want to argue about it? No, under no fucking. I
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
that. I hate
But I mean,
saying like I love this game, and somebody being like, "Well, I didn't," and me being like, "Well, Colin doesn't like mustard, and I do, but I don't think we're gonna sit here and decide
Yeah.
if mustard's the condiment of the
Yeah,
year."
it was always. I mean, kind of knowing how the sausages was made, having voted on Game of the Year many times. It just doesn't mean anything really. At the end of the day, like it's just we can celebrate several games, or we can each have our own individual game, which I think makes sense. And I just think that it's just an old way of looking at things. You know, in my opinion, it's why can't there be 3 or 5 games of the year?
Yeah.
Why does everything?
People
what
like
is
ranking
one
things, you know.
No,
I get
and
it.
I
It makes
respect that, and I
sense,
appreciate
but
that.
what I do like about the way we do things, and we even do this when we review movies or review games or stuff, we don't give the score. We just discuss it.
Yeah.
And I think I like the idea of Kind of Funny's Game of the Year being the discussion. You know, it's like us kind of just putting it all out there. Now we all put out our 10 favorite, but it's like I feel like I want to hear each of your kind of internal debates on what is Game of the Year.
For us personally,
Yes.
sure. Mine's Metal Gear, and there's no debate. Like
No
there's
debate.
literally nothing that I thought held a candle to it. And that's always funny to say because I know I was looking at the chat when we were going like, did any of them play Undertale? It's like no, we didn't. You know what I mean? And that's on my list of shit to play, just like Life is Strange is. But
Again,
it's just,
Life is Strange and Undertale, the two that I'm like, people keep recommending.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, that actually does.
right.
Sound
But it's
cool.
just one of those things you can't play everything. You're drawn to what you're drawn to, all these different things, and like like I kept waiting and thinking, and I was like, all right, knowing Batman was coming, I was like, for me, it was like I remember saying Witcher's my game of the year, right? When it was Witcher, and I kept saying because of where we are.
Well, it was Dying Light,
you put a
and
gun,
then Witcher,
exactly, because
and
you go as you go because you
Yeah.
actually play things and games start coming out, and so but Witcher, and that's what's weird. I always feel like if we were talking about internal debate, if we were at IGN still and we were sitting around the table and stuff, it comes down to what are the nominees, where are we coming, where do we vote? You know what I mean? And that's when I feel, and that's where I always, a lot of people don't agree with me on this. That's where you put in your critic hat a bit more, I think, you know what I mean? Where it's like, all right, well, Witcher didn't connect with me, but as looking at the game and this, that, and the other, I can see the scope and why people love it and da-da-da-da. Maybe that gets into the argument. But for me, when we're talking about our favorites and now Kind of Funny and for my personal game of the year, nothing got close to Metal Gear. No game captured my attention more. I didn't have more fun with a game for those amount of hours. I mean, it's just so weird because it's just on paper I shouldn't like Metal Gear that much. You know what I mean? It doesn't have Hater, who is Snake to me. It doesn't have the Metal Gear story, which is what Metal Gear is to me. But it has this gameplay that I just can't get enough of. And it's one of those things. Nick always gives me crap over there. He's like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you're never going to platinum Metal Gear though, right? And I'm like, no, I'm going to platinum. Like Metal Gear is a game I will legitimately get back to. And it's not just one of those like, oh, I really wish I could get back to The Witcher. And I think about it like, no, there's going to be a plan one day to do it, but I'm just in no hurry for it. But I know I'm ready whenever it has a chance.
Yeah, what you were saying about the critic thing, like I do that a lot too, because I like to think about games as a whole, and that's kind of why we do this show, And for me, when I was thinking about Game of the Year, I'm like, all right, what am I gonna say? You
Yeah.
know, and I feel like there's the obvious answer for me, Mario Maker.
Sure.
Right. Then there's the other answer that's like, oh well, Tim also really likes Metal Gear Solid 5, so that makes sense. But in terms of the game of the year, if I had to do the critic thing and like the IGN thing, I think Rocket League is the game of the year.
There's
just in
definitely
the
an
sense
argument
that
there.
That is, I'd say, the game of 2015. Like,
Sure.
so many people love it so much, and it connected with so many people that it's like Kanye West. You know, when he has a year, whether or not you like him, it's like he's the artist of the year. Everybody's talking about it,
trending
whatever.
gamer of
And
the
I
year.
think that Rocket League's a great example of that. Came out of nowhere. It has all the recipes for what, you know, the game of the year. If there's one game you're going to play this year, you should know about this,
Yep.
you know? And I think that's a great nominee. Having said that, it didn't connect with me in that way.
Yeah.
Like we did the Let's Plays and stuff, and it's very fun. I feel like if I gave that game more time and if I played it on one screen instead of a split screen and all that stuff, and just kind of sank some time into it, I feel like I would fall in love with it.
Totally. Rocket League is definitely one of those two ships in the night kind of thing. Because we had been this game's great. You know, Colin came back and told me, hey, Jeremy's game is really good. And I was like, really? And then we played it, and then they came onto the stream, and we had so much fun playing it locally. And we were talking a big game about it coming out. Like, we're going to play a lot of this, and we're going to do this. But then it came out right in the heat of, okay, now we're going to a million conventions. This and like, it would be one of those things you'd come back and like, we'd all get back and you just want some alone time. You put that game in, but you're getting your teeth kicked in. Like there was games where I jumped in and played and I was just getting destroyed. And it's like, I know why this game's fun, but in the same way of like when Mitch is like, Dota gets really good 15 hours in. I'm like, I don't have time to get good enough at this to have that fun. I want fun now. You know what I mean?
And yeah, for me, I feel like I could have that fun now. Even if I put the 2 hours in, it's just that never happens. But I do think that the Rocket League, I want to give the critic in me the nod for like,
Sure.
I think that would be a good vote.
Sure, I definitely think that's a contender.
But yeah, having said that, for me, it is between Mario Maker and Metal Gear Solid. And I've been debating this in the shower a lot because I was like, I knew we were doing this show, and I was like, I don't know what I want to put out there if I had to choose one. Because my thing is, Mario Maker is everything I ever wanted. It's just unlimited Mario, whether it's Mario 1, 3, World,
Yeah.
or New Super Mario Bros. And it's like, that's crazy. Like, I would have never thought we'd get that officially from Nintendo. Yeah, we get the ROM hacks and all that stuff, but like, this is just unlimited Mario made by awesome people doing different things. And then the thing that sold me on the game even more is when I realized it's not just Mario. It's not just Mario levels. These are Mario levels that are made, at least early on, without checkpoints, which changes it drastically. You know, this is Mario where you're playing Mario 1, but you can go left. You know, you can make it more vertical. You can do all these things. And it's like people started fucking with the physics of what a Mario game is. And all of a sudden these became Mario challenges instead of Mario levels.
Yeah.
Because levels you need to build and learn things to be able to pass the next level and whatever. This is just you have one level to teach you all that and go through that kind of difficulty curve and like, you know, just trial and error and teaching you things. And the reward system is a per level basis. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. It's not just making Mario games. It's doing something different, or it could be that, you know? And so I'm like, that's why I give that a lot of credit that I don't think a lot of people see. Metal Gear Solid though, I mean, again, just right, like you were saying, it's like, I think of Metal Gear, I think of story, and that's exactly what I want. And I love Metal Gear Solid 4 because that story was just pure fan service to me of just, hey, I'm going to wrap things up. This is the most over the top and stupid thing ever. But at that point, that's what Metal Gear was to me. And I'm like, great. Then you get 5 and it's like, oh man, that's not there at all. But it's like, for some reason, I'm still addicted to this. And the gameplay loop, all that stuff, we don't need to talk about that again. But what I do want to say about it is that unlike a lot of the games, I like simple games. You know, I like games that I'm like, the gameplay is just impeccable. This is great. I talk about Amplitude, right? I talk about Mario or Shovel Knight or stuff like that. Those are simpler games at the end of the day. But it's like, and Rocket League, whatever. If it's a simple game, it's fun to play, whatever. Metal Gear Solid is addicting and rewarding, and it's not simple. It's a 3D world. There's a lot going on, and all of the systems feel right. All of the little things are fun to do. It's not like there's a thing where like, I don't want to do this again, you know?
I'm waiting for my damn resources to process.
Well, that in terms of finance.
I know.
You're getting into a different
screwing
thing.
around.
But like,
Ha
every time they taught me something new, I thought I was going to hate it. And then I didn't. And then I loved it. And that all happened so fast. And the gameplay is fun and it's not simple. That's, I think at the end of the day, I got to give my nod to Metal Gear Solid because it did something in 2015 that other games didn't, and I think that that was a new thing. It made more complicated gameplay addicting and fun for me.
I played Metal Gear for about 10 hours over the break, and it just wasn't for me. So I don't really have much valid information to say about it because I didn't dump.
No, this is about you. This is your time. This is your game.
Nearly dump enough time into it. No, I just wanted to say that like I did give it a go, and it's just not what I'm looking for. I didn't. I can see, as I said, I think on Colin and Greg Live or maybe on PSL, I don't really remember at this point. I said I could see that the systems are deep and there's like a lot to do in the game. I don't necessarily know that that's Metal Gear to me, and so I didn't personally find the gameplay to be above and beyond the best third-person shooters that I played by any stretch of the imagination. So to me, it was, I was like, okay, this is fine. I think I can see it. I loved, as I said, I fucking loved the intro, and what I was so disappointed about when you're walking into the hospital and the fucking guy on fire and the Psycho Mantis type character, or whatever. I'm like, this is so fucking cool, and then it just rips you out of it, you know, and. I'm like, why? Why did you rip me out of that? Like, that was fucking awesome. That's Metal Gear. You know, and that was, it almost, playing it and actually experiencing it almost made me angry. It's like, God damn it. Like, 10 to 12 hours of that is a Metal Gear game. Yeah. And suddenly I'm in an open world. I'm like, okay, like, why am I here? So I went through all the missions and I found, doing some side quests and kind of just experimenting and fultoning, that's what it's called, right? Yeah. Guys out and experimenting a little bit with the equipment and all that kind of stuff and making new things. And to me, I was just like, there was no gravity there anymore to me. I was like, this isn't what I was looking for. That first hour, that first 90 minutes, God damn it, that was fucking rad. You know, and I wish that it was more like that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with that. But I respect your guys' opinion, and I also respect that I didn't play it for a fraction of the time you guys played it as well. But that was that. I almost wish I didn't play it anyway. Like at this point, because I'm like, there was always this like je ne sais quoi about it, where I was like, I'm sure that I like this.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to get to it. And then when I finally got to it, I was like, damn it, I shouldn't have played it. But man, that first hour and a half, I was fucking in it. I loved it. To me, it's like you have to like whittle down what I'm like the games on my list. Mega Man Collection, Shovel Knight, Uncharted Collection removed. A game like Zero Drifter I thought was a lot of fun, but I wouldn't vote for. Witcher 3 is fun, but it's got a lot of flaws I wouldn't vote for. So you're left with to me 3 games come to mind. Really, you got to go to Rocket League, you got to go to Dying Light, and you could really even end the conversation there. I would even consider something like Until Dawn. Just based on the resonance of the experience. And then you can talk a little bit about Mad Max or like, whatever you want to talk about. But I really think it probably comes to Rocket League. Dying Light, I'm not comfortable. We make our own rules, right? So I put games that I didn't beat on my list that I spend a lot of time with, and Dying Light was one of those games. But I feel like if I'm gonna give it that extra nod, I have had to have seen it all, and I didn't. The game could fall off a fucking cliff for all I know. But I liked what I played. Rocket League's a game, unlike Greg, who like was just traveling and didn't realize 2 ships in the night. I actually did play that game a lot, and I played it online a lot, and I played against the computer a lot, and I played multi a little or locally a little bit. And we played it a lot before it came out, so So it's probably the game overall where I would be like, well, Dying Light's probably the game of the year for me if I was comfortable saying that, having seen the entire game. And you can go to Mad Max and be like, well, Mad Max really gave me what I was looking for. That was a game I sunk a lot of time into because I just enjoyed playing it. I just thought it was fun. And I like those games where it's just slowly whittling away, like we talked about over and over again, that Ubisoft style map sections that are dark red, and then they go pink and light red, and then they're white, and you're cleared, and you got everything, and there's fucking 8 billion collectibles. I like that kind of shit.
Yeah, collectathons are great.
Not always, but I like that. I mean, that's why I play Far Cry, because Far Cry is better, I think, than Mad Max in the sense that it's got superb gameplay as well in all senses. So I think I would settle on. I think I would probably settle on Rocket League, but I don't know. I don't know if it's really important. There was a few games that I really, really enjoyed, but I think in terms of solid gameplay, I think in terms of resonance, I think in terms of performance, I think in terms of staying power, which I think Rocket League clearly has, that it's probably my game of the year. Yeah.
I mean, that's good. I think that
we've overthought it.
Yeah.
Kind of funny games of the year.
Damn. Oh, I like that.
You see what I did there? Because we're
Yeah.
kind of funny games.
Yeah, we
You just
are.
put of the year, and you give multiple games to do.
It's good. It's really good. I enjoyed this. I thought this was a good episode.
I did
overall.
too.
I hope people liked it.
I'm sure they did. Let us know in the chat if you're watching live.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast, the first and last ever episode 52 of this big, beautiful show. Come back next week where we're gonna be back to a normal show. Where
Yeah,
we're just
back in the
kind of
other room, the
back in the
studio.
other room, and also like this is the last. I don't even know what we're gonna do next week because the last couple weeks we've been knowing what we're doing because it's been like wrapping up things and going from there.
I know.
What?
Steve Gaynor will be here.
You are right.
So he'll talk about a bunch of stuff. Not just Gone Home. And then he'll talk about the games with us and whatever happening in gaming.
Tacoma,
Tacoma. I'm in space.
Gone Home in Space. A coming of age story in space. As
Yeah,
far as
I know.
understand.
Yeah, save it. Gone Home's out soon.
You can get that episode early. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. And speaking of Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny to help us support Kind of Funny, the animated series. We're trying to make it happen. Last I checked, we crossed the 45K mark, which means 6 episodes are funded. We're trying to get to 75 by the end of January.
Yeah, remember again to stress this.
To make sure that people know out there, it's only for January. So $75,000, yes, that is a lot of money that we're asking for. But it is all going to animation. Animation, very expensive. We want to do this right. Once February comes, back to normal. We're just going back to the normal Patreons. You guys can change your tiers to whatever. So for all of you that are already on Patreon, you're like, I want to support this project just for January. If you want to go higher, great. If no one wants to, that's cool too.
What we keep saying is if everybody who's giving us $1 on Patreon gave us $4 more, we'd hit it. We'd be done.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, that's different.
Yeah. Well, then we'd have a
even
lot
less.
more. We'd have a lot of money. But I mean, there's some guys who can't give more than $1, and I understand that, and you don't have
Or
to.
no dollars. It doesn't matter. Like, if you want to support the show, go to youtube.com/kindoffunny. Leave a nice comment. It'll make me happy.
Yeah.
Until next time,